Hi, good afternoon. My name is Luis Corpus. I am the department chair for the art department over at South Texas College. We are located at 3201 West Pecan Avenue. Freddie, I have a little bit of feedback on my mic. Can you adjust that, please? West Pecan Avenue. Freddie, I have a little bit of feedback on my mic. Can you adjust that, please? So forgive the technical difficulties, but in any case, we are located at 3201 West Pecan Avenue here in McAllen, Texas. We have with us today an artist by the name of Mayuko Ono Gray, but before we introduce the artist, I do want to talk a little bit about why we're hosting these exhibitions virtually. And the reason being is that we typically host our artist exhibitions out of the Building B gallery. The Building B at the Pecan campus, it's the art gallery. But in consideration of the pandemic and public safety, we've decided to move our exhibitions virtually with the intent of promoting community culture, creativity, critical thinking, and bringing these artist exhibitions to you, the public, in a way that is it's safe for the community. And every single instance that we've had these artist talks, we've intended to improve every single time. And so one of the things that is different about this artist talk is within the YouTube chat section. You should see it towards the right of your screen inside of YouTube. Towards the right of your screen inside of YouTube, you will see a chat section. As the artist is presenting her artwork, please do. You're highly encouraged to comment, to add a question, and when the question pops up, now the artist has an opportunity to respond to the audience. And we feel that's one way that we can make these artist talks a little bit more interactive instead of having them be entirely passive. But without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our artist. Her name is Mayuko Ono Gray, and she is based out of Houston, Texas, whose main medium is graphite drawing. Born in Gifu, Japan, she was trained in traditional Japanese calligraphy in her young childhood. Later in her teenage years, she was trained in classical Western drawing. After graduating from high school in Japan, she moved to the US and earned her MFA in painting from the University of Houston main campus in 2007. Her works are represented in the Hooksabsine galleries in Houston, Texas, in Galería 910 in Oaxaca, Mexico. And her works have been exhibited internationally in Tokyo, Japan, Oaxaca, Mexico, and Rome, Italy. Her exhibition is titled Down the Throat, Heat Forgotten, and you can see it via our website, southtexascollege.edu/art-gallery. Without any further ado, Mayuko, thank you very much for joining us today. And the floor is yours, Mayuko. Gallery. Without it.
Thank you, Luis. Everything good? Okay, so thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, and I'm really happy to be here. And I hope you guys notice I have a drawing behind me. That's because of Luis, because he has a fantastic drawing over here. So I had to put mine up too. Actually, it's a work in progress. So anyways, I'm going to start the PowerPoint, but I can see a message. So if I have a chance, I could answer some maybe. Oh, I can't see it once I start the... can you see the slide okay? Can you see this? Yes.
Can you see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So, as Luis just introduced me, I grew up learning Japanese calligraphy. So it's something like...
Introduced me.
Okay, I'm here really about the feedback. If you can have it, that'd be great.
I'm here really about the feedback.
Okay, so this is how the traditional Japanese calligraphy school looks like. So calligraphy is
This
something like
traditional
or tea ceremony, flower arrangement. It's just one of the art form in Japan, and it's kind of virtue to have a good handwriting skill. This is not exactly the school I went, but it looks really just like the one I went, so I included to that. So with the calligraphy, it's about copying the mastered sample and trying to imitate that, paying attention to where the hard stop is, where you want to let the brush to kind of flow like that. So you'd go over and over and over on like usually like 50 sheets of rice paper, try to imitate the master sample. So here's a group of student works. So it's not about the content, but it's about how you express that with the line quality. And you can kind of tell like people's character from looking at it. And when I was in high school, I had to decide about my college. And I wanted to apply for art university in Japan. So for that, you need really good drawing skills, which is like Western drawing skills with charcoal, conte, graphite. So I quit my Japanese calligraphy school, which I was going every Saturday to attend the Western drawing studio. Again, this is not the exact place I went, but it looks something like this. And I just had to bring this up because this was like the very first assignment I had was to draw the brick, and it's really common thing. And from there, you advance by adding some objects. And of course, the studios always had those Roman busts, and you learn how to draw observing that. I added this image here because this poster was in the art class in high school, and every time I went in the classroom, I looked at this and I was like, someday I'm gonna draw like this. So I think this really inspired me to make the work I do now. So this is a work I created for my MFA thesis show, and my studio practice. So my MFA is in painting, so I painted whole 3 years. U of H main campus is 3-year program, but towards the MFA thesis show, I got really ill, and after that, like I had to really make some work because it was like in February, March around this time. And then I was like, I really want to draw. Like I felt like painting was better than drawing. So I was just painting for the painting's sake, but I was like, this thesis show, I'm gonna do drawing. So this is actually from a photograph I took out of the hospital. My self-portrait. And also for the same thesis show, I created the drawings, fairly large. This is 96 inches by 48. And this drawing, this is a flower my classmates gave me when I was in hospital. So I had to draw that entitled Thank You. And this was my daughter back then. And I was also playing with the whiteness of the whole image. So in calligraphy, you're supposed to keep the rice paper clean, no smudges or fingerprints or drips of ink. You have to keep the whiteness of paper clean. So I think I still had the influence without really knowing why I like to keep everything else clean. So again, like this, you have the writing, but paper had to be just clean, or it doesn't qualify for as being a good work. And I think another example or another influence I had was works by Klimt. I just love how he composes everything and how he cuts out to the pictorial plane. I just love his works for the composition and the complex juxtaposition and the use of the decorative motifs. So after graduation, I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. So I decided to work small. So like this image is 4x6. It's fairly small. And I decided to break the human figures apart and kind of put them together a la Klimt, kind of. Like this is Klimt influence here. So I created this series of works I titled Midnight Skinny Dipping series. This is two fishermen. Actually, this two fishermen image was from the, what's his name? I'm sorry, I don't remember. It's a painting by this guy. And I was just playing with the biomorphic shape and kind of creating narrative to it. And you see, I like the marine objects and also see how I started using all those ropes going around the imagery. And for this image, like the concept of a rope was like the lifeline. So I'm taking big dip into this midnight pond of unconsciousness, but this rope would safely bring me back up when I wanted to just come back. So it started out with just my safe line, but I really enjoyed playing with the rope thing and just putting things together. And then I met Dr. Izzat Abriush. He is a which specialty was he? He's a doctor who was retired, and he was taking painting class after retirement. So he paints Arabic calligraphy. So the words was his imagery. So I was really like, I don't know, it made me think because kind of reminded me of how I used to do calligraphy, and also made me think of this, how this brush stroke is actually painted meticulously. So I decided to do my version of Izzat's work. So this is the very first one of just the rope, and I have a Japanese title for my each work, and that is actually written out in here. So for example, this first letter is here. It's so it's all complicated, so it's hard to see that. But and this time too, I wanted to connect all the line into one. Again, with the midnight skinny dipping, I had the part of me attached to this rope, which is gonna pull me back up. So it is, I created this whole line to connect. So there's one entrance here on top and exit on the left bottom. Oh, this one doesn't have an entrance. Interesting. So I started playing with Japanese proverbs. I love proverbs. Like I don't have really strong religious background or anything, but proverbs really have like truth to it. You can see all those in my website. It's just my name, mayukoonogray.com. And this is a work I created. It's titled Four Seasons. So this is spring, this is summer, this is winter, and this is, I'm sorry, fall and winter. So each work consists of different proverbs which expresses spring, meaning it is actually about the relationship. So when you find your love. It's a spring. It's like, oh my gosh, everything beautiful. And the summer is all the passions, and you don't think of any dangers. You're like crazy. And fall, it's when you start feeling like, oh no, I don't know what's going on. Does this work? Oh my god, what have I done? This is a winter. So winter one, I try to make it like male and female, or male and male, female, female, it doesn't matter. Just two people standing. So this proverb here is something like, don't cry over the spilled wine, spilled water. And this one is, alcohol is the best medicine of all. So I'm playing with that. So I had to create a work for a group show, which theme was book. So this is so I was trying to look for proverbs that has some book or meaning a book in it, and I came up with this phrase, and I wanted to use that. So I was kind of interested in reflecting your psychological state, and I was like, why don't I just really reflect the viewer? So this dark area is actually cut out, and a mirror is glued from the back. So as you read this question, you see yourself, and you have to fill the blank. So I started playing with that. This means I cannot live without a blank. So what is it for you? Everybody has different answer. This means I love a blank. Like, what do you love? This means if I'm gonna die tomorrow, today I want to, what do you wanna do, blank? And then I started to make my own poems, and I would actually write out the poem. Again, Asian writing starts top to bottom and goes right to left. So it goes up and down like that. And after I wrote all the poem, I again started this process of connecting everything. So if you wanted to, you could really trace, should be one entrance. So sometimes things go out of the frame, but it always comes back somehow and should go down to the end. Same with here, right, up, bottom, right to left. And so if you can read the Japanese, you can pick up some letters here and there. But I also understand not many viewers know the characters. So I really want to pay attention to how it is visually interesting, even without knowing what it says. So it's kind of like listening to foreign music, and the lyrics is in foreign language you don't know, but you can enjoy the rhythm. So that's kind of what I was really trying to achieve with those. This was kind of jump because I decided to make the background black. This is not black paper, but I actually made the background dark. So I'm kind of coming out of this, paper should be white and beautiful, like calligraphy. But I'm starting to incorporate the background. So this one is 2 pieces. So in Japanese, it's like hebi ga deru ka oni ga deru ka means, oh, it might be snakes come out, the devils come out. It's kind of like when you're trapped in between two really bad situations. And this one is motivation to avoid pain, motivation to achieve happiness. Those are 2 things people make a decision upon. Like, okay, should I have a healthy lunch because it's gonna make me happy, or should I go to gym because I don't want to get really fat? So anyways, I thought those 2 interesting, and I tried to make the light here. It's not about the photograph, but I wanted to make it to look like the light is emitting from the viewer's like head. So you're standing there and you're really interacting with the work. That's what I was trying to do. And from there, again, with the duality of things. So this one has a love in Chinese character and hate. And I connected together. So this one doesn't have entrance or exit, but it is intertwined. It's in one continuous line. So I wanted to play with the duality, which is like what people say here is like two sides of a coin. Like you can't have one without the other. So again, you can see all these works on my website about some examples, sadness and anger. Like when I get mad, like at my husband, like it's usually because I'm sad. Like, it's usually same thing. Pleasure and pain, thoughts and emotions, disappointing relief. So from that work, again, when you start to create the many works, you kind of get stuck or you get bored, we say sometimes. So when I started working on this, I was like, I'm gonna put my husband in here. So, and something clicked in me after I did this, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is like the card game we played in Japan. So there's a poet's portrait, and then his name or her name, and the poem he wrote is on top. So I really wanted to play with this, or it felt just right to me having the figure on the bottom and the writing on top. And if you go to like a museum, many ancient scrolls have like landscape and there's a writing on top. So I think I wanted to play with this. So this one is how it's the beginning of a goodbye. Again, the actual proverb is written out here. Like you can see this Chinese character here. Those are my cats. I don't know if you know Masho Takeda. You can squeeze about him later, but he's a great artist in Oaxaca, but he's Japanese. No Pain, No Gain, and the portrait of teenage daughter. So this one is actually about my daughter. She was born in the year of a tiger, and tiger is a beautiful creature, so magnificent. But if you get too close to it, you're gonna get the heart. So you get the love from distance. It's kind of like how my teenage daughter felt like. And her middle name is Jasmine, so I added this jasmine flower here. And this was a commission piece for Madame Butterfly for the Houston Ballet. So I put the proverb into the shape of a butterfly and the Japanese hairpiece. So going to the 2017, so I'm again still pushing combine the letter and the imagery. And I really started to draw my cats because the thing with art is like you have to do what is true to you. Like it's like when you get old, it's good saying like you don't care what other people think anymore, and like you want to do what you want to do before you die. So I'm like, I love my cats, I want to draw them. So that's when I started to really drawing cats and my friends, my family members. This is my daughter. And this is myself. I fish, I kayak fish. So again, I'm starting to kind of play with the clamp, like cutting into different parts. And this is again my cat with writing. Again, my daughter. And I think the evolution here is that I started actually drawing things behind the main subject and do Japanese writing. This is a fish I killed, and on the chopping board, I took a photograph of it. Back. Again, this one, So I really started to love going back to draw the details of the subjects, objects. And this one, so I usually create a cartoon, which is a printout of the original photograph, but those drawings are big, so I have to kind of section them and print into 8 by 10 paper. And when I laid this down, I really liked the gap each paper's made because it echoed with his office, how he has this shelf behind him and all the horizontal lines, vertical lines. I really played with the actual paper, so I purposefully made the gap, and I was kind of starting to play with that. So, like with the evolution of art, like it's like you can't think ahead of the time, but like when you're working on something, it kind of comes to you like, oh, I want to try this on the next work. So it's like a really slow process, but it's fun to follow that. And at the same time, I think I was trying to really break the subject matter, oh, it's a cat, but I want the viewers to see just the beauty of the gradations graph I can make. So it's not like you're not talking cat, but you're actually enjoying each square in a way, but you still see the cat. And here's some missing pieces because she disappeared and we really don't know what happened. So it's kind of a her disappearing from our life and we still have missing pieces of puzzles. We think Coyote ate her, but I don't know. And from that squares, I started playing with the circle dots. So again, this is my cat sleeping on a chair. But again, I wanted to break down viewers to see, oh, it's a cat, but to really see each subtleties each squares make, and just to visually enjoy the graphite itself. This is a diptych because I have a black cat with little white, his tuxedo cat, and it's other cat that's white with the black dots on it. So I have two same chairs and they sleep on each, so I have to create this one. And this work is from 2020, so after the corona thing started and we had to work from home. It just, so I was trying to eat, but the kitchen table was full of stuff because my husband decided it was gonna be his office table. It's a bunch of stuff, and I'm trying to eat the breakfast, and both of the cats decided to jump on the table, and like it was just chaotic mess. And I was like, I need to take a photograph of this. So I grabbed my camera, which was near me, and then it's the corona thing is you can't see the virus, but it must be around. So I just added them like playfully floating around in your kitchen. And those are the recent ones. Again, going back to my cats or anything in my daily life. So I find the things instead of try to create something, but I just capture from the moment. So it's been 30 minutes. I'm not gonna play this, but if you are curious, just Google his name. He is a blind, not a blind. He's colorblind, but he can see the color by the sound. And I think it's interesting. I think that's why I like to draw in black and white because I get irritated by voice or noise easily. So he hears different colors, different pitches of the sound, which represents color. But when he tries to listen to white or black, it's pretty quiet. It's like, so yeah, if you're interested, you can Google him. It's long stretch right now, but I have to kind of connect that together. But I think his thing is interesting. So this robotic is actually implanted to his head, and his passport photo has think on it. Anyways, that's it. I'm exiting my PowerPoint. Okay, Freddie. Okay, thank you. Luis, help me. Should I answer
Can you hear
some?
me now?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you know that last artist that you showed, I was really interested that you showed him because I just read an article recently. It was, I believe it was on Kandinsky, and they called it synesthesia, like where he would see colors and he would like hear trumpets. And so now there's an exhibition of some of his works that intertwines the sound and the visual aspect. It's really, really cool. I'll definitely go check out. What was the artist's name again?
He's not the artist, but his name is Neil Harbison. Neil,
Hey, we have a Jay Chavez saying, how long have you been doing these types of things?
oh, this type of thing. I've been drawing since I was a kid, but again, Calligraphy series came out around 2010. 2010, I think.
I know that there were some questions that popped up like during the talk, and so with Samantha Cerdan, I know you talked about it. I think these two go hand in hand with also with Emily Fuentes' question is where do you get your inspiration from, and then do you have a specific muse?
My cats. Again, like I'm not at the art school. Like I mean, okay, like grad school was like all this like talking about art and concept and the seminar class, and like I really hated that. Like I don't know. I just love to just portray things I like and I want to. And seriously, when you get older, it's really good. It's like I'm gonna draw my cats, and if you don't like it, don't look at it. I'm gonna do what I want to do and draw my cats.
Unless you're a student in my class, I'm just playing. If you're a student in my class, you better pay attention. Just kidding. You bring up a good point because that was one of my questions to you. One of my questions was about your intent and your intended audience. Who do you make art for?
Myself.
Right, and I think that's a.
Also, you are like you being an artist is you have to do something to give back to like society or just create some art. Like see, this is hard. We're trying to explain art verbally right now. Like if I could talk about it, like I would be a writer, or it's hard to verbalize it. But there's something really spiritual about the art. So it's like almost like we were putting here to make art, which is gonna touch viewers, even the viewers can't explain exactly in word why it felt good, strange, or kind of I don't know. I can't explain too well, but
Well, I think it's a great answer because it's like hearing music. It's like you can write about it, and you can write about a symphony, or you can listen to it, and there's different experiences, and so yeah, like writing about art versus the visual process and the art object. You also have you had a few other questions. One from Jasmine Sanchez. What work do you enjoy the most doing? Like what type of works? I know you have like your graphite works, but is there any specifically within that series that has really called your attention?
it's really about the process of it. So I just enjoy every moment of just making art. Like it's kind of like a knitting sweater. Like you can go to Forever 21 or Walmart and you can get a cheap sweater for $10. But people go to like Joann's and spend $50 on yarn and stick and spend like 10 hours to make this sweater nobody wants. But it's about the making of it, you know, like so it's about the process. So I love the process. So it's really just being with the process. So I don't have like specific what I like, what I don't like. And through the process of it, you get in touch with this thing that gives you, like pushes you the evolution of how you can push your art to comes to you. I don't know. I don't know how to explain to it. I'm sorry.
You explained it very well, and I think it's a good analogy, like with the yarn, and you could spend a lot of money on the yarn and a lot of time, and it'd be something that, you know, it wouldn't be for the mass public, but it's really meaningful to you. And I think in that point also, I also went into Banana Republic recently and saw $80 shirts that felt like completely cheap, you know. So it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right about the, you know, the process. Here's a question from Gabby, and I think it's really important for artists. I know Chuck Close said, amateurs wait for inspiration, the rest of us just get to work. What inspires you? What keeps you motivated to keep going on a specific piece of work? And what is like your daily routine type of thing?
So during this pandemic, since I didn't have to go to work in certain time, I changed my daily routine to I wake up at 4 o'clock. So I wake up at 4 o'clock, and I go to studio. I make coffee first, but really work on it. Like, I think there's some things that pushes you to really make art. It's not like I'm making art so I can sell it for a great price or anything. That'd be nice, but like, first of all, I grew up really strange child. Like, I was like strange, and like I think that gives me the way I see the world in a different way, and I like to make art, and I just feel like it's what I'm supposed to do is to make art here. And some mornings it's like 4 o'clock, and like, oh God, I want to get up, and I always tell myself this: there is pain of discipline and the pain of regret. So which do I want? So I always just try to get me to work. So like, yeah, check a close thing. I tell myself to you just have to show up and do something. And you're gonna die soon, so you better do what you wanna do before you die. And again, right before Stacy's show, like I almost died. Like I didn't die, and all the doctors are like, "Why don't you die? Like we have no idea how you came back." So once you know that, like you can't waste time. Like you have to do what you gotta do before you go.
That is so beautifully said. And I wrote down, I love what you said. You have the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I totally get you with that one. With the exception of waking up at 4 in the morning, because I'm totally not a morning person. That's well said, Mayuko. Um, I saw I saw from your from the artworks that you have as part of your exhibition. I saw two themes of your titles that I thought were really interesting, and I was wondering if you could expand a little bit about it. And one was art is long, life is short, and the other is anything that takes a form will break sooner or later. Can you expand on if you know if you're willing to expand on the significance of those two items?
Yes. So anything that takes a form will break sooner or later is like really underlying the Buddhism thing. Like even like teacup you love, even this house, like anything that has physical form, it's gonna someday crumble down, goes back to earth, and so are you. Like I'm gonna be gone soon too. So like so not really holding on to material things, which includes your own body, like it fascinates me. Again, like it ties to like then why am I here? Like if I got this form now, came out of my mom, and one day I'm gonna go back to that ours. Like, so what's the point? What's the point of life then? It's kind of an interesting thing. That's why I like proverbs, to kind of try to find meanings in life, or like human emotions, like how human emotions are the same. It doesn't matter where you live. Something make you happy, something make you sad, something piss you off, and we have this emotion to deal with. And what's that for? Like, and it's other one is so even you are gone, your art can survive. We can go to museums, see all the great works by dead artists. So it's a subject in those two drawings of the artist's long life in short. One is Jerry Hooks, who is the owner of the gallery. I mean, she dealt with art all her life. And the other one was my co-worker, George Bose. His office, he's also like amazing kick-ass artist. And he's in this, office, like frustrated doing computer work and surrounded by his works behind him. Like someday he's gonna be gone, but his ceramics gonna survive.
The question, what's your favorite work that you've done? I think you touched on that question, right? With the that it's more about the process rather than a specific question. We do have one from Melissa Terry. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but there are some works which is more successful than the other ones. But it's usually like in the end, you realize, oh, this one came out better than that. Like famous sayings, Da Vinci didn't say, I'm gonna make this Mona Lisa and this is gonna be the most famous one. He didn't start up like that. He just started working, like just turned out better than other works or something. So you really can't intend to create a great work, but sometimes in Zen, like, oh, this looks better than this one. Could be just formal elements, just formal things. Like, oh, this one has more contrast, this composition's better. But you can't like decide in the beginning, like, this is gonna be my favorite one. But some are better than others.
Here's a question from Melissa Terry. She says the cleanliness of traditional calligraphy is here instead used to emphasize messiness, like layered knots. I love this tension. Can you comment further on how this duality informs your work? It's a great question.
Oh boy. Well, I can talk about the messiness part. So I have the one entrance, which is your birth or the beginning of your form. So the calligraphy is also metaphor for your life. Your life is never smooth one way straight, but there's so much messiness happening. There's some beautiful times and there's like horrible, nutty situations in your life. So it's kind of metaphor of a complicated life. But in the end, you're gone, you die. And the line ends.
Chris Leonard, he asked, does any American urban, gritty, or pretty graffiti hit the roots of your calligraphy? I see echoes of Kenny Scharf.
Does any urban gritty hit the... someone told me that my works kind of makes them think of graffiti, but I'm not too familiar with graffiti or this artist.
Natalie Seismer. I am kind of curious on this one as well, about the time that you put into each work, because I saw some of them, like some of the dimensions were like 10 feet by like 6 feet. And and we were in drawing class, and I'm showing my students the tip of a pencil. Like, imagine like creating an entire work in graphite at that scale. So how much time do you think is invested in like a work at that size?
So the smaller pieces I can make maybe one every 2 weeks, given I have to work Monday through Thursday. So I only have really morning, evening, or weekend. But I'm working on larger scale ones now. So this one is the one I started. So larger scale one, I try to make one a month. So that's my goal. And yeah, you have to start with like thick graphite stick. You can't start with detail. You have to start with general to specific. It's like building a house, like hanging picture or decorating the last thing. Like it's a delicious part. It's like small rendering, but you have to start general and go small.
Yeah, on the one in the background, that's kind of what you're doing, right? Is like you're laying out the forms. Are you using grid on that one, or what is the method in the process for that one behind you?
I use a cartoon. So I print out. So it's like a lot of 8 by 10 paper. So I have a photograph I usually start with. I put it in Photoshop and I create a grid to 8 inches by 10 inch. And then I print them out section by section. And I cut the edges, collage all of them. And before I collage them, I cover the back of the printing paper with my graphite stick. And I put them together, put on the wall. And I go over with a hard pencil. So it's kind of like, oh my God. So my daughter was here one time. So I was doing curtain work. And after I took a curtain off, you're left with, guided edges you just drew in. And my daughter's like, I'm going to tell everyone you trace. That's what she said. Like, it's just a way to, I can make them without the cartoon, but it's just time efficient and keeps the paper clean that way. So
Joe Salas jumped in and had everybody's comment. Your work is amazing. And you know what? In that defense, you could tell your daughter that I saw the cartoons of Michelangelo. So Michelangelo is doing the same exact thing with transferring his work. So yeah, it's a very effective process. Painting great pieces. However, I wonder if you would get caught up and go in the zone. It probably happens. Here's Mariana Castillo. She says, great work pieces. However, I wonder, do you ever get too caught up and go in the zone that you completely forget reality?
That's the fun of it. Like, I'm always listening to audiobooks or I'm listening to Taylor Swift. Don't judge me. And yeah, you're going to this zone. Like, it's a part of the fun. And audiobooks I really recommend because you can get the content of book while you're drawing at the same time. It's amazing. I have like over 200 books in my audio library.
Here's a more technical question. This is one thing that that I've had about your work. The blacks that you get, the dark values in your work, they are so rich. And then at the scale that you're working, I also know that documenting and photographing, because you're working in graphite, you're going to be working against the glare. So I guess it's a two-part question. And one is, are you using 9B for your blacks, or are you using like a carbon based? And then the second is the photography. Can you explain that?
Sure. This is my secret weapon. It's a Mitsubishi pencil, can be. You can get it on Amazon. It's amazing. This is the darkest you can get. There's a company that sells graphite sticks saying it's 12B. I bought it. It's junk. Don't go for it. This Mitsubishi 10B is a lot darker. And
what's the other one? What was the other one that you said don't go for?
What was the other one?
The other one that you said do not go for that one. What was the other one?
I don't remember the company, but they were giving away freebies at the last CASA conference. It's a new one, and it says 12B, but it's not 12B. So, no. And glare is horrible. So when I take a photograph, I have to really block all the windows. and I can't light it straight out. I have to light it into like ceiling or corner of the room, but still the glare is horrible. So I usually have to take a photograph in really dark, dim room. So I had to upgrade my camera. So I had to buy higher quality camera so I can use the shutter time longer, of course, on my tripod. Yeah, and again, my work's large and with details. So, and I can't shine it. So, yeah, photographing works is really hard. But with the new, more expensive camera I got, it's got a lot better.
The larger works, do you stitch the images together, or is it like one shot of the entire work?
It's a one shot, and I have to skew the corners usually in the Photoshop because it still does, carving of the edges.
Trash it. Here's another one from Freaky Fandom Fun. Do you ever give up on an art piece and trash it completely? What's the stress level like when you're creating?
I don't. It doesn't happen too often, but it has happened. It's when you think you have the idea like in the head and try to get it down. It's usually that's when it doesn't work. Like I don't know what it is. I can't like try to make something, but I just have to start making and to trust something will come to me. But it doesn't happen with big piece. It has not lately. But usually have one maybe a year, which I say no, this doesn't work.
Well, Mayuko, I am definitely 100% a fan of your artwork. And this is what I get to look at every day while I'm working.
Yeah.
It says a duck appears with onions on its back is the title of this one.
So it is a proverb again. So duck appears with the onion in its back means you don't go hunting for duck, but duck decided to come to you, and hey, it brought onions with it, so you are ready to cook it. Like when two lucky things happen together, that's what it means.
Our luck today. Our luck today was having you with us today. It's incredibly talented artist. Absolute pleasure having you with us. I think with our drawing students, they're definitely learned a lot about process, and I think in our students in general about how attentive you have to be to your work, because I think establishing that routine for yourself, I think it is really important. I think staying true to who you are as a visual artist, I think that is very important. And so I really do thank you for being here, Mayuko.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
I do want to end with a few thank yous, and I know with putting together these events, I love how creative the incorporation of the proverbs are. I enjoy that as well, Gabby. I know in putting together these events, it's a lot of work behind the scenes. I want to thank Federico Gonzalez, our gallery assistant, Deborah Ellsworth, our administrative assistant, all our art faculty, everybody who joined us here today, our students, the community, and of course our dean, Dr. Nelson, Anaï Petrosian, for supporting us in these endeavors. And I do also want to extend Eduardo Garcia. Thank you, Mayuko. Your work is amazing, and I really enjoyed your talk. That's the theme of today, is a beautiful talk. I do also want to extend if you are interested, if you're joining us today and you're not in one of our arts classes, or you are in one of maybe an Arts 1301 and you're interested in pursuing a career in the visual arts, you're interested in visual arts or graphic arts, Corvo Alt, he says, amazing art. I love it.
Oh,
If you're pursuing the visual arts, graphic arts, you can give me a phone call. My phone number is 956-872-2188, or send me an email, lacorpus@southtexascollege.edu. And I'd love to talk to you about our graphic arts or visual arts program. And before we cut out, Mayuko, if there's anybody in our audience who sees this now or afterwards, this link will be available inside YouTube and will be available for any students to view afterwards. And it'll be available within our gallery webpage. So anybody who wanted to get a hold of you, how do they do so?
you can go to my website, and it is a contact page in the very end. Or my Gmail address is just my name, Mayuko Ono Gray @gmail.com.
Well, Mayuko, one final time, thank you very much for your time today. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Okay. Bye,
Adios.
guys.